Israel and Iran have continued to exchange missile fire overnight. The conflict between the two countries has entered its fourth day, fears mounting now that it could escalate into a wider regional war.
Well, according to Israeli officials, 8 people were killed in Iranian strikes across Israel overnight, whilst Iran's health ministry reports that at least 224 people have been killed in Israeli attacks since Friday. Well, both sides have so far poured cold water on the prospect of a ceasefire.
Yes, and this comes amid reports that Donald Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying there would be no attacks on the country's political leaders unless Iran were to kill an American citizen. But it does look like now, doesn't it, Tom, that America is very much being dragged into this?
Well, we've seen around 30 American planes fly across the Atlantic heading towards Israel, and that's only the ones that are publicly accessible on tools like flight radar. I mean, there is some suggestion that those could have been towing many more planes, a significant shift of equipment towards the Middle East. OK, well, let's go straight to Tel Aviv and speak to Israeli-American journalist and Iran affairs specialist Emily Schrader. Emily, thank you so much for speaking to us from Tel Aviv. Can you bring us the latest?
Sure, yeah. So I am located very close to the actual impact site of one of the ballistic missiles that hit central Israel last night. We're pretty much in the heart of Tel Aviv. I'm not sure how well you can see behind me, but the building over here just above me is actually one of the ones that was most severely damaged. And nearly every building around me right now has suffered damage from that ballistic missile. Just a number of minutes away from the U.S. consulate here in Tel Aviv itself. So it's been a difficult night. This happened about 4 a.m. We do have 24 deaths confirmed so far and hundreds more who are injured. Just 8 of those deaths occurred last night in the ballistic missile strike. So this is a very dangerous situation, a very dangerous escalation that we're dealing with here on the ground inside of Israel amidst ongoing strikes inside of Iran on the Islamic Republic, IRGC, and government targets.
Now, it seems clear that Iran is trying to hit population centres, is trying to aim for civilian targets, perhaps to try and knock the morale of Israel and get the public to sort of pressure politicians to stop any escalation or any further strikes. Is that strategy, in your view, speaking to people there in Tel Aviv, is that working?
Absolutely not. I think we have a lot more unity than we have had even in the past year. The war with Gaza has been ongoing, very difficult for all of us. A lot of different opinions on the ground in Israel about what should be done next. But when it comes to dealing with the Islamic regime in Iran, this is something that the entire population from left to right knew that we were going to have to deal with at one point or another because of this nuclear threat. And after we received intelligence that they were working on developing 10 nuclear bombs, as well as a plan to destroy the state of Israel, not just to attack, but to actually destroy the state of Israel, it was evident that the state of Israel needed to act. This isn't a partisan issue. This is something that everyone here understands. And we're very hopeful, and we support the IDF, and we're very hopeful that we'll be able to implement a real change on the ground there. And what's interesting is speaking with Iranians on the ground, they share that sentiment. You actually have the majority of Iranians who oppose the regime, who want to see some kind of change, and who have been oppressed by that regime for 46 years ongoing.
So, Emily, the IDF and Israelis want regime change in Iran, but the Prime Minister over here and other global leaders are calling for de-escalation. Are we a little bit past that stage, Emily?
Well, I just want to clarify that one of the formal goals of the state of Israel has not been regime change. It's to focus on the threats to the Israeli public, which is their obligation. A byproduct of that should be regime change, but that's something that has to be decided and ultimately implemented by the people of Iran, not by any foreign entity. So it's important to note that. In terms of the de-escalation, of course, it's a ridiculous ask. The time for de-escalation has long passed. This is something that I myself and many other organizations were lobbying for years. Full sanction enforcement, zero tolerance for the terrorist activities, designation of the IRGC. And many governments, especially in Europe and yes, the UK as well, balked at this repeatedly. And unfortunately, the byproduct of that is that when it comes to the threats to Israel's existence, we have to act. We don't have a choice. We don't have the luxury of not doing anything when it comes to these existential threats. We wanted to avoid a war. We weren't able to do it because of the actions of the international community. And now we're hopeful that we'll have the support we need in order to get in and out of this as quickly and with the lowest amount of casualties on both sides as possible.
OK, well, Emily Schrader, thanks so much for being there in the heart of Tel Aviv for us, and do stay safe as those ballistic missiles continue to fire.
Absolutely, but let's speak to Mark White, our Home and Security editor, on this. Does what you're seeing chime with what Emily Schrader was saying there in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, I think so. Overnight, we had two very significant waves of ballistic missile attacks launched from Iran towards Israel. We want to show you some images now that really highlight what the Israeli government has been saying, trying to warn people that when they hear the alerts to go to their safe room, to go to the shelters nearby, because if you don't, then there's a real risk of casualty, and many of those who have been injured and killed, according to the Israeli government, had not gone to their shelters. Just take a look at this and a warning that the images are distressing.
Wow.
So, as I say, very distressing images there, but really highlighting what the Israeli government say, which is the importance of just getting to those safe rooms. They've shown some other images of safe rooms where a house has been almost obliterated, I should say, but the safe room has been pretty left intact. And you can see from some of the images there outside in the streets, the damage to the cars, the properties, some of them that have been levelled, others severely damaged. And we know now, according to Israeli officials, that the death toll has reached 24 since Friday, with at least 200 others who have been injured. I just want to show you, before I come back to you, images from the US Embassy in Tel Aviv. These are images that show damage inside that consulate building in Tel Aviv. Now, that will really ring alarm bells in Washington. The ambassador, Mike Huckabee, has said that there wasn't significant damage, but clearly very, very worrying.
Thank you so much, Mark White, for bringing us that pretty distressing footage there. Mark White, our Home and Security editor.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And why it matters to you. From your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you. Good afternoon, Britain. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.